of like, do I know the motivation? Do I not know the motivation? Because if I'm trying one set of tactics on this rep and I'm trying to like, coach them from one perspective, but I don't know how they see the world and like what really gets them going, then it can be really hard. You feel like you're, I don't know, blindfolded and trying to like thrash around in the dark to try and find something. I'd love to understand your sort of like your thoughts on, that mindset so that we can help kind of them put it all together.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. So let me ask you a question. When you were a rep, um, would you say that you were money motivated? Were you motivated to be, compensated more?
No, not at all. I was I was a great and terrible rep at the same time. My first year at almost every job, I was well over quota. And then the second year I was bored and I was looking for something else. So I'm very much interesting work motivated. Like I loved learning about diesel generators and all the different things. And that was like the super, super fun part. And then I was year 2 and I was like, I don't really love this as much.
I learned it. I know it. I'm kind of bored.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. You actually are proving part of my case that I want to make, which is you are a little bit of an anomaly, except not today. So if you were a rep today, that would be super common. The majority, and people that are listening may not believe this, but the majority of sales people today are not motivated for just the money, the rewards, the recognition, or extrinsically motivated. And what I've found is that, people maybe of my generation or folks have been in sales for a number of years and stayed in sales because of the money and the recognition, and now they're the manager. They don't recognize always that people aren't motivated the same way that they were. So they might have, as the manager, might have been motivated by, oh, I can make more money if I sell more. And so that, drove them. Or I'm going to have my name on the top of the tote board, recognition. I'm going to win the trip. I'm going to, whatever it is, right? And the majority of folks today are not. And I find it really interesting that an awful lot of managers have a really hard time understanding that, have a really hard time absorbing that and believing that. And actually, we saw a big change after the recession, 2007, 2008, 2009, in motivation types. So it used to be that a lot of salespeople were very heavily extrinsically motivated. And that, the Great Recession kind of had a big impact on that because it caused people to go, oh, wait a minute, money isn't everything. I have my health, that kind of thing. And I think the pandemic has probably done a little bit of that again, except people are just like so sick of, just all the stuff associated with the pandemic that it's like, I want business as usual. And what I've noticed in, looking at the data of salespeople is that too few managers understand how to get the salesperson to, act like they acted, like, just do whatever you need to do to make as much money as possible or get the rewards or the recognition or, whatever. And so many people today are more like you described, Colin, which are, you're doing it for your own reasons. You're really fascinated by learning about this stuff, learning why the customers might use it, that kind of thing. And then you hit a ceiling and you're not that interested anymore. Well, you're intrinsically motivated. You're motivated for your own reasons. And if more than 50% of the people today in the sales ranks are intrinsically motivated, then the manager has to understand, well, what does that mean? What actually gets them out of bed in the morning? What actually gets them going? The compensation plan isn't going to do it. What's going to do it is understanding what actually matters to them and then coaching them to be able to accomplish that. So, to use your example, you said, okay, maybe a year in, I'm, crushing my goals. And then I'm like, okay, what's next? If your manager would have had a maybe intimate conversation with you about what actually mattered to you and what you're striving for. What are your big life goals? What are what are you on this planet to accomplish? And I know that sounds a little woo-woo and squishy, but that's really the level of understanding that a manager uh, could have to help the individuals on their team do and become, do the most and become the best they can be. And it makes everybody's life easier if you can tie back whatever their daily work is, make more calls, close more business, do more proposals, whatever it is, to whatever their personal goals are. And that's really how I like to address motivation. One of the biggest findings that we see about sales managers is the vast majority of them don't think it's part of their job to motivate the people on their team. And I don't know exactly the reason for that, but my gut tells me it's because they didn't need to be that motivated. And that's why they're now promoted to manager, but not everybody's in the same boat on their team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a big believer in big goal management, goal planning, and not just sales goal planning, but personal goal planning, and that the manager can help, a salesperson accomplish what they want.